Today I'd like to discuss my favorite Edison deck. I call it Phoenixian Scourge. It's a Norleras hand loop deck with Amaryllis ground game backup plan. The deck aims to abuse the most powerful monsters in the game with a turbo game plan that's pretty much unrivaled in the format. The one downside is it is a little bit more of a high roll deck, but let's get into it. First, the monsters. We're playing all the good plants. We got 2 Lone Fire Blossom, 2 Dandelion, and a Titanial Princess of Camellias. Notably, you can get your Dandy tokens off the Scourge hand wipe, which can get an early start on the grind game in our favor. Next, we're playing 3 copies of Phoenixian Cluster Amaryllis, which is the star of the show as long as you have plants in graveyard. It's an endless grind game with a powerful burn condition, and it again works very well with the hand loop. Then I'm running a singular copy of Phoenixian Seed. This can summon Amaryllis directly from the hand, either on its own or by being tutored up via Loon Fire. This line guarantees at least 1 plant in graveyard, so you'll float Amaryllis at least once, which can be very important for surviving until the combo lines up. Next, we're running 3 Mystic Tomato. This is the singular most important engine card for the deck, as it bridges together the Amaryllis half by being a plant and by searching up for Sangan, and it bridges it with the Norleras combo by searching Phantom of Chaos. It's also a dark, which can enable Dark Arm Dragon. This card is so critical to the smooth function of the deck, and smooth function of these 2 disparate engines, that you're going to prefer to crash it and float proactively most of the time rather than setting it and letting it get hit by a Raikou or a Caius or whatever. So there's that. Next we have the 1 Sangan, which searches almost every relevant non-boss card, and it can allow us to do a mini version of the Yada Lock if we have it on field at the time of the Norleras board wipe. It can get us ahead. Next is Gale the Whirlwind, which is a normal summon that beats Vanity's Fiend and Vanity's Emptiness most of the time, while also being a Dark Tuner, and occasionally allowing us access to Armor Master. It's searchable off both Sangan and Mystic Tomato. Plague Spitter is here as a great mill, and our other tuner monster, typically this is what we would go into Yugioh Guardian with. It has other applications. If you have Plague Spitter in graveyard and you're about to go for a Norleras line, you can stack a card from your hand to be a guaranteed top deck off the Norleras effect, which wins games single-handedly. Next up is Armageddon Knight. This is a simple summon that can come down through Tomato or be searched with Sangan and dumps any dark we want access to, such as Norleras or Plague Spitter. Not much to say about that. Snipe Hunter is here as a discard outlet for cards that we really wouldn't want to have in hand, that we can situationally use this as removal. It's very nice. We can also grab this off of Sangan or Tomato. Next up is the star of the show, 3 Phantom of Chaos, which allows us to copy any card in our graveyard. Could be a Lone Fire, or it could be a Dark Arm Dragon, very cool. Or it could be the next card, one of our 3 Scourge Norleras, which together form the Phantom Norleras combo, allowing us to do a full 100% hand rip and board wipe of both fields, which basically resets the game, but we draw a card immediately, and our graveyard Amaryllis will be ready to rumble as well, which sets us up for success in the long haul. Resolving a Phantom of Chaos, copying an Norleras with at least 1 Amaryllis and at least 1 plant in graveyard is the main goal of the deck, and it approaches auto win levels of power when it resolves. Next we have Dark Arm Dragon, as we have a few different ways of manipulating our graveyard dark count, and we certainly run enough darks that this is usually trivial to summon in the mid game. Phantom of Chaos can copy it if it's in graveyard too, which under certain circumstances might even be more powerful than Norleras if they have everything committed to the field, not much in the hand. You can just pop it all. We got a power 1 of with Caius the Shadow Monarch. It's just a tribute summon. You can summon a few different ways, offers unique solutions to big problems. It's a staple for a reason. Then finally we run the 2 dark hand traps, Gores and Tragoedia. Gores is obviously a huge threat, especially since we really don't run any back row. And Trag can stall us for a turn or simply steal big monsters. We run a lot of level 8s that we'd rather have in the graveyard, so stealing a Stardust Dragon is not out of the question. You can copy it with Phantom of Chaos too for a fun time. Our final monster is the only non-dark or non-plant we run, a Card Trooper, as a valuable source of card mail and a decent body that replaces itself. Next we got the spells. 3 trade-in, it's a given since we run a whopping 7 level 8 monsters, 6 of which we would 100% of the time rather have in graveyard, and it draws 2 cards on top of it. What's not to love? For more card selection, we are running Card Destruction, which is a mass graveyard filler that can dig for all the various combos, and we are running an Allure of Darkness, which is a straight and simple card filtering option in a deck full of dark monsters. I dropped in the Foolish Burial as well, which in combination with Phantom of Chaos can go full combo, or it can just dump a Dandelion for tribute fodder tokens or a Plague Spreader if that's needed. Then we're running 3 equip spells in the form of 2 Mark of the Rose and 1 Different Dimension Reincarnation. Mark of the Rose is incredible, and it's a main reason to play plants in the format. DDR is great with all the banishing we do in the mid and late game. I don't run any Hidden Armory, because the deck is honestly filled to the brim with outstanding normal summons, like 14 or 15 good ones by my count, and 5 of those are the main goal of the whole deck, with the Lone Fire and the Mystic Tomato and the Phantom of Chaos. That makes 8 even. So I really don't want to lock myself out of that crucial mechanic in an already high roll deck. I wanted to run at least 3 equips so I could use Power Tool Dragon sometimes. They tend to be pretty mediocre in the early game, so I didn't want too many, so this is what I settled on. Finally, I'm running both Giant Trunade and Heavy Storm. The downside of Giant Trunade, where it puts the cards back in the hand, is kind of negated by Norleras effect, which wipes the hand, so using it to clear the way for the combo is the best plan with this, or push for game. Then finally, I do run 1 Call of the Haunted. It can be a backbreaking top deck, because bringing back a Titanial, a Phantom of Chaos, or a Synchro are all game-ending plays after an Norleras wipe, and it's just a solid card, so you have a lot of cards that float or that want to be brought back over and over again. So that's it for the main deck. Let's just toss that over here for now. Keep it fast. For the extra deck, I run a pretty standard lineup of Edison Synchros. I've got Catastor at level 5. Queen of Thorns is level 6 with a burn effect. You can only run it in plants. So it's synergistic with Amaryllis because the plant and it has burn. Bryanak for bounces. Yugioh Guardian, which is the best beater at 6, and it has a crazy steal effect. Ancient Fairy Dragon for certain wombo combo turns or for outing field spells. Blackwing Armor Master for my Gale or for Mark of the Rose plays. Power Tool Dragon for the occasional wombo combo turn with the equip spells. Black Rose for an emergency board wipe, situationally defense position change with the plants. Darkened Dragon is removal. Thought Ruler is kind of a towers. Stardust is protection for your board. Red Dragon Archfiend for clearing out stall. Colossal Fighter for being really big in certain matchups. Maritech Fortress Dragon for the Gear Gen machine matchups post sideboard. And this is an Armory Arm. Well, I know it says Iron Chain Dragon on there, but my friend borrowed my copy, so this is a placeholder Iron Chain Dragon, but it's actually an Armory Arm. You make it with Dandy Tokens or Plague Gale. Okay? Last but not least is the sideboard. We'll hit it quick because every local meta is different. I think 3 DD Crow is mandatory in this deck, as if we end up matching with decks that use their graveyard a lot, DD Crow can take away their ability to fight back from our Norleras wipes. Same goes for Soul Release. I run a Lightning Vortex for outing problem monsters like Cactus Bouncer, Vanity's Fiend, or Fossil Dyna. MST is here to help with the heavier back row decks, clear the way for the combo. 2 Cyber Dragons for the machine matchup. Trap Just Shoot for when I know I'm going first. Royal Oppression for when I know I'm going first versus turbo decks. Mirror Force, Torrential, and Treacherous Trap Hole for more monster removal, especially when I know I'm going first. And finally, Cold Wave for those big Norleras turns versus backrow decks. It's like a 3rd Heavy Storm or Giant Trunade. Except a lot of times you want to be using like Trade-In and stuff, so I don't run in the main, it's just on the side. Royal Oppression can be a bit risky, but if you have Amaryllis in graveyard, Amaryllis is not once returned, so you can really burn through their life points, and you can always use Phantom of Chaos and Norleras combo to wipe it if it's a pinch. So that's that. In summary, the deck's main game plan is to set up a recursion loop out of the graveyard using Amaryllis, while ideally hand looping and board wiping with Norleras effect through Phantom of Chaos. The deck's a bit high roll, but it's almost unstoppable when it works really well, and I find it to be very synergistic, very cool. A bunch of big main deck boss monsters, which I love big main deck boss monsters. I mean, these are my favorite things. Comment any ideas you have for the deck. We can talk it out. Love to talk more about this deck, lab it out. I think it's relatively underexplored in the format, and I think it's very powerful, and it's a lot of fun, most importantly. So that's it. Peace.